What's going on, everybody? You've located the internet's self-professed biggest Lobo fan. And I'd like to do something that I don't normally do, which is an overview of a book I just read, um, Lobo's Fragtastic Voyage. And here's the cover here. Here's the back of the cover. Now, apparently, this is canon, and at the end of the book, it leaves a little note here, and I'll read this verbatim, but I'm not going to read the entire comic book verbatim. I might take quotes, but just bear with me. Regular Lobo readers, please note the events of this story pertaining to the popular and beloved outer space superhero named Gold Star, this character right here, should be considered to take place sometime either before the tragic events in Lobo 44. Lobo 44, this is referring to the 44th issue in Volume 2 from the mid-90s that Alan Grant, the writer of this square-bound, also wrote. When Gold Star was killed, or after the events of a story yet to be written when he comes back to life. Kind of a joke, and it's kind of hard to figure out how canon Lobo, that volume of Lobo, really is. But this fits right into it. This fits in definitely into the canon of that volume, at least. It's been a while since I've read Lobo Volume 2, so I can't really give like some lead in to this story, some context. But Gold Star does die in Volume 2, and he's featured here. I love this art. This art is crazy good. And it's got some funny moments here. The plot of the story is 17 planets and 100 billion lives are under threat. And the leader of the biosystem, Mahatma Scarf, he's in a coma. He's got a blood clot in his brain, and he knows the power of exploding numbers. Apparently, he saved the race of the Lilliputians. This is what the Lilliputians look like. I read this in one chunk, so and I just read it, so I haven't really molded over a lot. The details are kind of fuzzy, but essentially, I remember most of the plot. But yeah, Lobo gets shrank with, let me see. They shrink him with this lady right here. She's supposed to be a doctor or something. And then there's Gold Star that made him fat in this issue, fat and out of shape. So they shrink him. They shrink these three, and they're supposed to be the team that goes into this ship called the Savior. And they're supposed to swim up to the brain and relieve the blood clot, and then retrieve the information, the power of exploding numbers, and give it to the bio people. I don't know their race. I don't think that was very clear. They're like a cow humanoid race. Let's see if I can find a good picture of them. Yeah, here's a good like page for what they look like. Yeah, they're like a cow humanoid race. And when the cow humanoid race, the bio people, retrieve the power of the secret numbers, essentially they're supposed to save their universe from the crocodilians. The crocodilians are what they sound like. They're humanoid crocodile creatures. They're the antagonists in this story, and it's just a goofy, silly story of Lobo, this doctor, and Gold Star swimming through the veins of Mahatma Scarf, and they encounter the crocodilians inside his body, and tons of jokes and insanity. There's an overarching theme of Lobo harassing the doctor. I mean, you saw what she looked like, how she was dressed, and Lobo being the being he is, can't keep his hands off of her, and Gold Star is the antithesis of Lobo. He's the exact opposite. He is constantly defending this woman against Lobo. And if you read Lobo Volume 2, Gold Star is in Lobo Volume 2, and their rivalry is hilarious. It's almost like a Looney Tune-esque rivalry. Lobo is wild, he's unpredictable, he's dangerous, he's violent, and Gold Star will come up behind him, and he's got this power. It's called the AOK power, that he'll pacify things. And there's a whole issue, I think, where he pacifies Lobo, and it makes him sick that he feels all these nice things. It's really funny. And it was nice to revisit some of that Lobo Volume 2 stuff here. I thought the pacing was fine. It didn't feel too long. I was worried it was going to feel long because it's a square bound. And I was worried there's going to be a lot of dialogue, but that's the beauty of Alan Grant. There's not tons of dialogue. It's refreshing to be able to get through an entire 3-part square bound series in just 20-30 minutes. Now, I don't want every single book to be this way. I'm not saying this needs to be the standard for writing and pacing, but in a day and age where we're decompressing everything post Michael Bendis, the rise of Michael Bendis, and we're doing like 12 issue mini, one story that could be condensed down into 6 issues is dragged out to 12 issues. We're in that day and age now. It was nice to be able to just chunk through a 3-part Lobo book. I don't need a lot of dialogue. I don't need a lot of plot to read a Lobo book, and that's kind of the magic of Lobo in a sense. The barrier to entry on Lobo is very low. You don't have to think very hard about Lobo to understand the character and to enjoy what Lobo has to offer. Overall, I don't want to call this the greatest Lobo story of all time. Again, I enjoyed it. It was like a trip back to 2013 when I originally got into Lobo. Lobo 1 from Volume 2 was one of the first comics I ever purchased. I think the first time I ever purchased from an LCS was Lobo Volume 1, and that just took me back to that run and all the fun I had, and the books that sort of impacted me and built my fandom for the character. I'd recommend it to anybody. I think even with that note of this ties in right before Lobo 44 or wherever you want to put it in, you don't need to know the context. I've kind of forgotten the pretext to this story. I don't really remember what happens and leads into Lobo's Fragtastic Voyage, but you don't need to. I honestly recommend Lobo's Fragtastic Voyage to anyone. Good pacing, really unique art. I've already showed you guys the art. Tons of jokes here, a lot of politically incorrect jokes, so be prepared for that. Lobo's definitely an off-color character for sure, and then especially if you're going to read the Alan Grant material from the 90s. This is like peak off-color Lobo right here. Just be prepared. Trying to find the date. I don't know if they dated it. I'd like to see more of Herman Mejia's work. I'll have to look for that in the future. That was really a unique art style, and something I could learn to appreciate a lot more. I have no idea what he's doing in the industry anymore. I feel like that was a good overarching overview of the book. I don't want to spoil the end of it. I want you guys to read it. I hope you enjoyed this little overview. I want to say I've got 2 more parts of the highlighting my collection series I'm going to release later this week. I'll probably sparse them out. I know 1 and 2 came out back to back. I was going to put out part 3 today, but I read this book and I really wanted to talk about it, really wanted to express my love for this book and the good time I had reading it. So stay tuned for part 3 and 4. Those videos have already been recorded. Just got to put them up. And I thank you guys for, as always, watching my content and supporting my channel. It always means a lot to me. Until next time, guys.